All right, everyone, welcome back into another props video. Going to be getting into the top prop bets here for Flex Friday on PrizePicks. Also going to be covering a little bit of underdog as well. But first, we're going to start off with a quick recap from yesterday. So guys, yesterday we extended the hot streak that we have been on, and I just want to caution you guys a little bit. We have been on this very good stretch here. Basically, when we go on these hot stretch, we just know that that's due to come down, okay? So just fair warning, we've been hitting, 3 out of 5 at a minimum for quite some time here. 4 out of 5 a bunch, 5 out of 6 a bunch here. Haven't gotten too many 6 out of 6s lately because it's been little things like what happened yesterday where we had this game going to extra innings and Lars ended up getting his over in the extra innings, scoring a run. He got on base and scored a run in extra innings. Very tilting there, very annoying there, but obviously we have been hitting at a very good rate here. So again, I just want to caution you guys against that. We are due to have probably a couple of bad days here shortly. I'm not going to say that that's going to happen. As always, we're just focused on making the correct decisions each and every day that will pay off in the long term. And so hopefully we can do that today as well. I will say the PrizePicks board today is pretty annoying as well. Okay, a lot of the bets that we're looking at again today are going to be under bets, and it does seem like Underdog has corrected some of the coding that has went into their fantasy scores. We'll still pay attention to that though. It might just be a 2-day off type of thing, but I have noticed that they have seemingly corrected, I think, some of the mistakes that they were making with their codes early on. All right, so what I mean by that, guys, is as you guys have known, this whole season, we've been able to basically go to this data correlates tab and click yes, and we've had plenty of over fantasy score prop bets that were simply just mispriced on PrizePicks, where it was off by like 2 compared to the underdog line and compared to the average sportsbook line. As you guys can clearly see right now, that is not the case, and we saw that happen yesterday as well, to the point where we are forced to place a lot of under bets. Now, that's perfectly fine if we are forced to place under bets, okay? I always call it that this projection data is typically a little bit higher because the projection data is more based on chasing upside, because the projection data is more based off of like DFS based projections where you are trying to chase more of a ceiling. Whereas the average sportsbook line, which is what the data is based off of, what the edge is based off of, is just based off of Vegas's expectations for that player for that game. And then we're comparing the PrizePicks and underdog lines against that. So it would be nice for PrizePicks to still be making those mistakes and for us to still be capitalizing on those like we've been able to do really over the last 2 weeks. But that being said, we had a fine day yesterday as well, even with the under bets that were popping up, and the under bets are popping up much more. Again, it's just weird that they went ahead and seemingly flipped their formula here, where again, basically every day we were getting a lot of good over bets. Now let's start off with the top prop bet here, and really I don't mind this one. We are seeing, like, if we're betting on these under bets, I do want to be betting on games that have this low game total. And so right away, we are also already seeing like a little stacking opportunity here as well. Riley Green for under his fantasy score, Gabriel Torres for under his fantasy score there as well. It's a low game total, 7 runs. They are favored to win in this game, where they're 1.5 run favorites, so 1.2 on average. But I'm fine stacking those two together. Now I would love to implement more stacks, and we do have some that we can get to. And so just taking a quick peek at kind of the log of those two players, obviously going against Chicago today, Torres is, I think we're fine getting to the under. And then same thing there with Riley Green as well. I think we're fine getting to the under there as well, especially if we are stacking, especially if it's a low game total. I think we're fine with that. Now, to me, if we are just placing those two bets, because obviously it's a stacking opportunity, I don't know if we necessarily need to get to any of these other bets specifically for like a Flex Friday slip. If you guys like any of these other prop bets, by all means, you can go ahead and target them. They're perfectly fine. Okay. Now, I do want to call out just real quickly. I think it's a habit that I can start making for you guys. It's just taking a peek at the demon prop bets that we were getting, just to see if we're getting any edges there that are worthwhile. And typically speaking, we are not, but it is worth calling out. This Aaron Judge one is interesting. Okay. So he has a 47% chance to get a hit. Okay. Now, typically speaking, I'm only betting on a demon bet if it has a 50% likelihood or better to hit. Typically speaking, we don't get that. But 47 is clearly an outlier there as well. So if you want to attack that, you could. Again, it's not likely to hit. That's why these bets are scams. They aren't the payout adjustment is not appropriate for the lines that they're giving us. It's just, it's a scam. Okay. And you guys know that by now. And then worth looking at goblin prop bets as well. I know people like them. Logan Allen for over 3.5 pitching strikeouts would be a decent one. If you guys want to get there, you can. Okay. Don't go crazy with it, but if you guys want to get there, you can. We are getting some okay WNBA prop bets, so I do want to touch on those here as well. One of the best one is going to be Nelson here, the center here. We're noticing that the line's at 14.5, projection at 18. So I like that. Look at the game log. It's been pretty consistent. So you like to see that there. Obviously, in the last game against New York, only 11. Against Dallas, only 11. Let's take a further peek at that to see maybe what happened there. But it is worth calling out that this is a game that could end up being a blowout. Okay, 10-point differential, 158, which is a lower scoring game. Like if we look at some of these other games, we are getting some higher scores. So just worth calling that out. And so, yeah, it's worth looking at that in the last game, only 21 minutes in that game. Okay, not a good game, but you can look at it clearly a blowout. That's kind of the issue with WNBA is just there are a lot more blowouts, okay, less consistency. It's kind of like betting on college basketball, just in a lesser sense where just games can be random blowouts. Players are just, not as consistent. So you do see a little bit more randomness in the sense that it can be more hit or miss there. So basically, if you're betting on this one, you are hoping that she gets closer to like 28 minutes. You are hoping that the game's a little bit closer than what Vegas is expecting. And it is worth calling out, they are 10-point dogs in this game as well, which could influence her minutes even more there. Now, real quick, we'll go ahead and take a quick peek at some PGA prop bets. Unfortunately, we're not getting that many good ones here. Yesterday, we were getting some decent ones. It seemed like I put out a props video on my 9 to 5 golf YouTube channel. We're getting some decent ones. It seems like the lines have been corrected there as well. So let's just go ahead and jump into the general cheat sheet. And I think it's worth calling out that we are getting some decent esports prop line differences, guys. And this is pretty huge. I don't know how long these are going to last, but these are two prop bets that I already called out in the 9 to 5 Discord as great milling opportunities. So we could bet them both ways. One on underdog, or one way on underdog. We're betting the over on underdog and then betting the under here on PrizePicks. Since I mentioned the Discord, it is worth calling out. I mentioned, I think it was on yesterday's video, that I dropped 3 pick 6 bet slips in there, and 2 of the 3 ended up hitting. And yesterday's NBA prop bet ended up hitting, which was a 3 slip bet, which was pretty nice. Also pretty funny. I think it's worth calling out here as well from yesterday's bet slip. We knew that this Halliburton prop bet was one of the best ones on the board throughout the day for about 2 days. It was very strange that this one did not get bumped down to 6, right? It probably should have been. We know that PrizePicks is very notorious for doing that. It just didn't get enough volume. It was very strange that did not get bumped down. But shout out to Halliburton for getting the discount, hitting the discount. That last bucket ended up being pretty clutch there, where both were able to hit. I was a little bit worried that his under 6.5 field goals made. Obviously, we knew that was a good bet, but because that was a good bet, I was worried that the discount might end up being a trap. And no, he ended up getting there, so like to see that there. But interesting, it's just fascinating to me that a clear edge like that, a bet that's on the board for 2 days almost, does not become a popular bet. Like, people just don't want to place good bets. It's mind-numbing to me. And then real quickly, I do want to cover another esports middle that we have as well. Obviously, this was on the slip yesterday in esports middle. Sometimes we're just forced to place those bets where the prop line difference is big enough to the point where we have to place those prop bets. Yesterday, obviously, ended up being a push on prize. Honestly, the best. Obviously, middling would be the best scenario, but it not missing on either site was pretty huge as well. Again, just pulling it up. This was a bet that I ended up betting on underdog as well yesterday, where I was betting his under, and obviously that ended up hitting because he pushed. Okay, that's part of it. Now, that's not going to happen with the profits that we are placing because they are 0.5s, right? So it's fine, though. Like, I think we're fine betting on the unders here and then going to underdog and betting the overs. Also worth calling out, I do want to see if we are going to get some better WNBA bets when we're getting underdog fantasy scorelines as well. As you guys know, we typically are getting some pretty big edges when that occurs. All right, so with that, let's go ahead and get into the bet of the day for today. Now, again, been on a pretty good hot streak. Do not be surprised if we end up having a bad day occur soon. Now, the esports bets that we're going to be on here are, a day away, 2 days away as well. So those lines will probably get corrected here shortly, I would imagine, on one of the 2 sites. But we have 3 really good bets here. And we also have just plenty of good MLB prop bets, so that is worth calling out. But yeah, I'm just not going to provide false confidence. Oh, we're on a hot streak. Get on the hot streak. That's just, it's the opposite. Like, if you guys have been placing bets, it's like, you're going to have a roller coaster. You're going to have good days, hot streaks, you're going to have cold streaks. It's all a balancing act. It's all about long-term profitability. So just the fact that we've been on a pretty good stretch here kind of tells me that we're going to have a bad day here soon. That doesn't mean don't bet the best bets that we have. Obviously, always place the best bets that we have. Like it's just a process, and I do want to just reiterate that. But that's going to do it for today's video. Again, if you guys want access to any of the tools that you saw in this video, make sure to head on over to 9to5sports.com. Get access to all the tools available on the website for a low monthly cost of $10 a month. I price it that way for you guys so you don't have to spend your money that you're gambling to try to recoup what you're paying in a monthly membership. It's a low monthly cost. Take advantage of that. That's going to do it for today's video, though. Thanks for watching. Good luck, and as always, let's keep cashing.